Raider Nation, what's going on? This is the Raiders Report. My name is Mitchell Renz. Please follow me on Twitter at MitchellRenz365. Awesome to see some Raiders highlights. Am I right? Raiderettes look pretty good too. The first bit of news I got for you guys coming up on the board: Donald Penn activated from the PUP. This is good news for me. He's this guy that I've been talking about a bunch on this show. So, a busy week for Donald Penn. After accepting a new contract restructure, Penn was activated off the physically unable to perform list and will participate in the team's practice today. Penn has been dealing with a foot injury that caused him to miss the final 2 games of the season last year and all off-season workouts. Raider Nation, what's going on? My name is Mitchell Renz. Please follow me on Twitter at MitchellRenz365. And don't be afraid to subscribe to the Oakland Raiders Report on YouTube, the #1 Raiders show on YouTube. Humble brag there. Okay, Harris, let's get to some more Raiders news. The one I got coming up on the board: Gareon Conley returns to practice. And, well, this is awesome news because Gareon Conley is one of my breakouts this year. Awesome news, Raider Nation. Gareon Conley returned to practice on Monday, his first full workout since suffering a hip strain during the team's first training camp practice on July 27th. Yeah, it's great to see. Gruden said after practice, he's healed quicker than anybody expected. It's a credit to him and our training staff. We need him to get some work. Conley and Daryl Worley initially split reps at right cornerback with the first team defense. Think about this, though. It was Conley's first fully padded practice since last season. Baby steps, people. Baby steps. The next news I got for you guys: Connor Cook, well, he got the hook at practice yesterday. So this one's pretty interesting. Gruden did not appreciate the first bad pass Connor Cook threw Monday at practice. He didn't like it at all. The football skidded off the practice field, bouncing a few rows up into the empty bleachers. Toward the end of practice, Cook grimaced when he muffed a red zone snap from under center. It's like he knew what was coming next: the hook. He got the hook. Early this offseason, the Raiders opened their #2 quarterback spot to competition. Cook appeared to solidify the upper hand during Friday's 16-10 exhibition win over the Lions as he demonstrated poise and confidence when guiding a pair of second-quarter score drives. But he has yet to show true consistency. Cook is 25. He handled the bulk of the second-team reps on Monday. But is this going to be the case after getting the hook at practice? Raider Nation, what's going on? This is Raiders Report. My name is Mitchell Renz. Please follow me on Twitter at MitchellRenz365. Those are my news. Now I'm going to get into some rumors. And for people who are new to the Raiders show, I want to break down my Raiders rumors scale. And for the guys who like the Chucky heads, well, 0 Chucky heads, tuck rule, tuck that, not going to happen. 1 Chucky head, small shred of truth, I like to think 25% chance. 2 Chucky heads, people are talking, 50-50. 3 Chucky heads, pretty likely 75% chance. 4 Chucky heads, believe it, baby. This rumor is 100% going to happen. First rumor I got coming up on the board: Donald Penn is going to play right tackle. I'm giving this one 2 Chucky heads. People are talking. Now, with a guy like Penn, right, there's been a lot of controversy over whether or not he's going to play right tackle or left. But I think you can call this a little bit less than a coincidence. But after the day Penn took a pay cut from the Raiders, he returned to practice coming off the PUP list. Kolton Miller then was working at the left tackle, and Penn was working at the right tackle. This is an interesting lineup. The Raiders liked Kolton Miller as the long-term answer at left tackle, but throughout the offseason program, it was Penn who was lined up at left tackle in walkthroughs, even though Penn wouldn't practice with his surgically repaired foot. But I want to know from you guys, Raider Nation, who will start at left tackle for the Raiders week 1 of the regular season? If you think it's going to be Kolton Miller, give me a heart. If you think it's going to be Donald Penn, give me a thumbs up. I'm putting my money on Donald Penn. Thumbs up, Raider Nation. Next rumor I got for you guys coming up on the board is Derek Carr, a fantasy sleeper. I'm giving this one 4 Chucky heads. Believe it, baby. I love me some Derek Carr, and there's for plenty good reason in terms of Derek Carr, right? Like, Derek Carr is one of those guys who is super talented, and this is one of those things ultimately, like, I started the new show called Fantasy Football AF, and much like our sponsor, Miz and the Main, shout out to them, they're lit AF as well, right? But let's not forget how amazing Derek Carr was before his 2016 injury. The dude was an MVP candidate, 60 touchdowns, 19 interceptions combined in 2015 and 2016, and then they added a ton of offensive weapons this offseason. So I like what Derek Carr's been doing, and when you go back and just look at overall like his touchdown years, like Derek Carr was a guy in 2015, 32 touchdowns, 2016, 28 touchdowns. I get it. Last year was a bit of a down year, but a 4-year average of 25 touchdowns, basically if you round up 26, that's not so bad. So for a guy like Derek Carr, Do I think he's going to be a fantasy football sleeper? Yeah, I 100% do, because there's no doubt in my mind that Carr is going to throw a bunch of touchdowns. So, Raider Nation, I would like to know from you guys, though, over or under passing touchdowns for Derek Carr in 2018. Give me a heart for over or a like for under 26.5 passing touchdowns for Derek Carr in 2018. Next rumor I got for you guys coming up the board: are the Raiders going to cut running back DeAndre Washington? Man, I've been talking about this one a bunch, haven't I? And it's for a good reason. And I'm going to give this one 3 Chucky heads, pretty likely. Now, the Raiders have a ton of running backs in the stable, and Lynch had a 60-yard touchdown called back on Friday. The Raiders pulled him, and the rest of the game belonged to the backups, as the Raiders shared the wealth with the entire running back group. Doug Martin got only 1 carry, but he is expected to be the number 2 this season, unless one of the younger guys can wrestle the job from him. And someone that looked really good against Detroit, one player, that was Chris Warren, who followed up with some solid joint practice against the Lions, performed in a big way in the preseason. Warren nearly racked up 90 yards, 86 to be exact, on 13 carries, showing a nice blend of speed and power as he looks to shock the people on this roster. Now, I want to show you guys the Raiders running back depth chart. I know I showed this last week, but I think it's important to show it again. Chris Warren is right now listed as the RB4 on this roster, above a guy like DeAndre Washington. They're trying to get Jalen Richard work in there because he's a pass catcher and works really well with a guy like Marshawn Lynch. But if Warren keeps running the way that he did last week, it might be DeAndre Washington getting the hook. Raider Nation, the next rumor I got for you guys coming up: are the Raiders going to re-sign Khalil Mack? You're going to have to find out after a word from our sponsor, Mizzen & Main. Is Oakland close to signing Khalil Mack? I'm going to give this one 2 Chucky heads. People are talking. And, well, Raider Nation, the nightmare may be over soon because, man, I'm telling you what, I really hope. Right? So the Raiders defensive end Khalil Mack and Rams defensive tackle Aaron Donald have both been stalling in signing their respective contract extensions, each waiting for the other to blink first. But now it appears that Donald Penn will receive the quarterback-level money he's been seeking and is going to be reportedly announced soon, right? So the Rams and Aaron Donald are expected to come to an agreement on a massive deal that would pay Donald $24 million a year, with guarantees in the $65 to $70 million range later this week. In comparison, a guy like Von Miller is making only $17 million per year. Just something to think about. Are the Raiders going to re-sign him? I don't know, right? All right, next rumor I got for you guys coming up on the board: Khalil Mack wants $25 million a year. Another one, 2 Chucky heads. People are talking, and, well, spoiler alert, this is going to be the Mac attack section, right? So that's a lot of Big Macs. We heard last week from Michael Lombardi that Khalil Mack was seeking $22 million a year, and this would make that a bargain if Donald does sign a contract for $24 million a year. It could push the framework of a potential Mack deal into the $25 million per year range. This, which is about what Raiders quarterbacks Derek Carr is currently making. The NFL salary cap currently sits at $177.2 million, up from $167 million last year. That number should keep going up, but if the Raiders and Mack agree to a deal now, that will be paying him and Carr combined almost a full third of the salary cap. That's a steep price to pay, even if Mack is the best defensive player in the NFL. So, Raider Nation, I want to know from you guys, true or false, Khalil Mack is worth $25 million a year. Give me a heart if you think he is. That's true. If you don't think he is, give me a thumbs up for false. That is one hell of a question. Am I right? Next rumor I got for you guys coming up on the board is Khalil Mack going to the Packers. And I saw this rumor, and I'm giving this one, well, 2 Chucky heads. People are talking. BetDSI released their latest odds on who is the most likely to the trade and successfully land Mack. The Green Bay Packers are the favorites to work out a trade for Mack before the 2018 NFL trade deadline. You can check out the full list of odds, including where the potential for the Giants and Jets deals exist. But what I have up there, the Jets, Bills, and Redskins all have 7-1 odds, and the Packers are actually ahead of the Raiders. Packers are at 3-1 odds, and then the Raiders, guys, they were at 4-1 odds. I don't know. It scares me a little bit. Raider Nation, what's going on? This is the Raiders Report. My name is Mitchell Renz. Please follow me on Twitter at MitchellRenz365. And please subscribe to the Raiders Report on YouTube. I would definitely greatly appreciate that. I talked about news. I talked about rumors. Now I'm going to get into my second segment, which is preseason week 2, what to watch for, right? Awesome preseason game on Saturday against the Rams, and I can't wait. And the first guy that I really want to watch is Chris Warren legit. So, Chris Warren, right? I'm excited to see what the 6'2", 250-pound running back could do in this game. As it was expected, he would see quite a bit of action. That proved to be the case for Warren, who is an undrafted free agent out of Texas. He received a game-high 13 carries, turning him into 86 rushing yards against the Lions, showcasing a nice mixture of speed and power. While Warren will unquestionably have some work to do to make the 53-man roster due to the team's crowded backfield, he got off to the right start against the Lions, and I want to see if he continued to run well in Week 2 against the Rams. The next one I got that is definitely interesting to me is Gareon Conley versus the Rams wide receivers. And so Gareon is finally healthy, and I want to see if the former first-round pick can step up. It'll be curious to see who he will have to cover. The Rams have a talented group of wide receivers with Brandon Cooks, Cooper Kupp, and Robert Woods. So, is Conley going to be able to get it done? Who's he going to be covering? I don't know, but I can't wait to watch. Raider Nation, shout out to Miz and Maid for sponsoring the Raiders Report. If you guys want comfortable shirts, like the one I'm wearing right now, head over to www.comfortable.af. You will not be disappointed. The next one I'm going to be watching, Connor Cook versus that Rams defense. The fact that Cook walked away as one of the big winners from the preseason opener goes to show the impact that Gruden can have on the quarterback position. To go along with that, it points to Cook's work ethic and focus during training camp. The third-year signal caller completed 11 of 19 passes for 141 yards and 1 touchdown with a 98.8 quarterback rating. He showed great precision in the pocket, wasn't sacked, and his touchdown was a perfect example of an improved patience. He rolled to his left, avoided pressure in the pocket, and waited for Ryan Switzer to have an opening before hitting him for the score. If he continues to play at this level, Cook could unquestionably be the Raiders' number 2 quarterback in 2018. But I want to know from you guys, who will be Derek Carr's backup starting week 1? If you think it's going to be Connor Cook, give me a heart. If you think it's going to be EJ Manuel, give me a like. For some reason, Cook's working a lot with the second team. I'm a personal bigger believer in a guy like EJ Manuel. But hey, maybe they're going with a guy who's a little bit younger than Cook, who's only 25 years old. The next what to watch for I got is Eddy Pineiro, reliable. So, the decision to release Giorgio Tavecchio wasn't scrutinized all that much, and it's understandable why. But the undrafted free agent out of Florida still had to hit the ground running in his debut, and he managed to do just that. Pineiro made all 3 of his field goals as well as an extra point. The kicks came from 21, 43, and 48 yards, and he was tested with the 48-yard attempt from the dirt at the end of the first half. Overall, it was an impressive showing for the Raiders' new kicker, and well, I want to see if he can continue the success against the Rams in Week 2. The last thing that I'm going to watch for, Amari Cooper versus the Rams cornerbacks. Now, Amari Cooper didn't record a catch in their first preseason game against the Lions, and well, if Gruden really wants Amari to be the focal point of this offense, he needs to actually get some targets, and he needs to catch the ball. Can Amari handle the physical corners of the Rams? He added 14 pounds this offseason. He's up to 225 pounds. But the Rams cornerbacks, guys, are no slouch. They added some new guys like Aqib Talib, and, well, I want to see if Amari can stack up against a Rams defense that's pretty legit. Raider Nation, these are going to be the 5 things that I'm going to watch for against the Rams Week 2 preseason game. Chris Warren, is he legit? Gareon Conley versus the Rams wide receivers. Connor Cook versus the Rams defense. Is Eddy Pineiro reliable? And Amari Cooper versus those physical Rams cornerbacks. Those are my 5 things to watch for against the Rams. Raider Nation, thank you so much for tuning in to the Raiders Report. My name is Mitchell Renz. Please follow me on Twitter at MitchellRenz365. And please subscribe to the Raiders Report on YouTube. That'd be greatly appreciated. Until next time, go Raiders.